Hey friends, it's Akideris. So I just got done putting all of the bullet points that I wanted to talk about in this video because I just got done reading easily one of the most brutal cases that I've seen come out of Japan. If you guys know anything about crime that's come out of Japan, perhaps many of you have heard of this one, the case of Junko Furuta. If y'all have read the details of this case, it's no secret that the things that happened to this poor victim were just beyond inhumane. It's one of the most grotesque cases ever. Why haven't I covered this one? It's because her killers are still out there and I live in Japan and I really care for my safety. The only time I talk about any kind of case in Japan is when it's closed and everyone's gone at that point. So that is the only difference between her case and the case that I'm going to be showing with you guys today.
本日、神田司の死刑を執行しました。このものに関する犯罪事実の概要等につきましては、別途お配りをした資料の通りであります。本件は、誠に身勝手な理由から、被害者の尊い人命を奪った極めて残忍な事案であり、被害者やご遺族の方々にとって無念この上ない事件だと思います。
In Japanese, we have a case that is apparently called Yamisaito Satsujin. In English, this translates to the dark website murder. Now, originally, I'ma just tell you, this video was originally just going to be a compilation of me talking about really weird and scary things that have come out of the dark web on the Japanese side of things. But this case had so much that happened in it that I just decided to make a full-on video on it because it is just... I'm still mad. Okay, so our story is revolved around our victim, Rie Isogai, and she is the unfortunate victim that was very unfairly treated by the hands of these three men, Kenji Kawagishi, Tsukasa Kanda, and Horiyoshi Tomo. There is another fourth person, but I'll get to him later. Essentially, these three people, I don't even want to call them people, they're just three, I don't know, demons. They met on the dark web, and at the time, the website was called Dark Friends, which is weird. Now that website has been taken down, which is why I'm comfortable sharing what that site is. But they met on this website called Dark Friends, and this is when you collaborate with other really messed up people to do really messed up things. So our first guy, Kenji here, he is a 40-year-old jobless man at the time, and he logs into the dark web on darkfriends.com, I guess we'll call it, and he makes a post or a mass message asking for anyone to collaborate with him in a robbery. Don't get me wrong, robbery is terrible, but in the level of like crimes that are committed, I feel like robbery is only just scratching the surface. So his robbery in the spectrum of the dark web and what goes on didn't really seem that horrific, but it does later on, and I'll show you guys. So at the time, there were three people that answered his message, and all of these guys were desperate for cash. One of them was even in debt of 4 million yen. And basically all four of these guys were just absolutely desperate for money. So after exchanging several emails with each other, all of these men met face to face on August 21st to try to plan out how they would get money the easy way. Our man Hori here actually happens to know a very wealthy gambler and suggests that maybe they could rob him. They're sort of trying to plan out a very selfish Robin Hood thing where they take from the rich person and just give it to themselves. Apparently that plan didn't work out. So they came up with another plan to do that same night by just breaking into a plumber's office and stealing whatever money that they could. I don't know why they decided to choose a plumber. When they finally show up to the plumber's office, our man Kenji here gets so paranoid and scared that he runs away along with the others, leaving our fourth guy Hondo behind. Now Hondo looks through the place and figures that there's actually little to no money to steal at all, and he actually decides to surrender himself to the police and was arrested for trespassing and attempted theft. Now I know that Hondo didn't do the right thing either, and he's not exactly innocent here, but comparatively to what the other three are about to do later, he looks like a Christian boy, honestly. So Hondo has been arrested and going to jail, so now we're left with our three men here. So the next day they all get together and decide to come up with another scheme to make some money. And for some reason they decided to go into the parking lot of this one video rental shop, and our guy Kanda here suggests that they should rob an innocent woman, like the first woman that they see. Not only that, they think they should kidnap her, rob her, and then kill her to prevent the police from finding out about their crimes. So the other two agree that this seems like a great idea. Usually people who get robbed in their houses, the statistics show that very rarely are those actually random. But these men, they're just gonna take the first woman that they see and try to rob and kill her. So the guys get into Kenji's car, and it starts around 7 p.m. where they start looking for their first victim. Cut to around 10 p.m., there is this girl, Rie Isogai, and she is the unfortunate victim that they decide to pick. She's only just walking home from a long day at work, and they decide to just pick her. They have no affiliation with her whatsoever. So one of our guys, Hori, gets out of the van and goes up to Rie Isogai, pretending that he is just a lost person that needs directions. As the conversation goes on, it then leads to him forcing her into the van, where the other two then handcuff her and essentially kidnap her. So the guys start threatening her with knives. One of them actually manages to forcefully extract the PIN number and the ATM cards out of the girl. One would think, okay, that's all they wanted to do, right? Well, for some reason, after he got that information out of her, then Kenji decides, you know what? Let's fucking do this. Yeah, because I can't say that. People are desperate for money and feel like they have to do what they have to do. And it's one thing to rob, but now it's like a whole different cause when you start putting this into the plan. Like, now at this point, it's not even about money. I think that these guys just want the thrill, and they're crazy and they're sick. Like, let me just pause here to talk about the Junko Furuta case. That is literally one of like the most grotesque cases, okay? And I don't deny that. But like I said before, people who do things to certain people, usually there is a rhyme or reason why they've done what they've done. In Junko's case, it was because she rejected a guy at school. These three guys just picked a random girl for no reason, and she could have been broke for all they knew, and then decide to just go the extra mile by doing this. It seems like that this plan is just being improvised because they're just trying to get out, I don't know, some sort of sick itch that they've had their whole life by just going to the first person that they see. Now that one of the guys has tried to do and attempted this on Rie Isogai, this scares her so much to the point that now she is trying to escape the vehicle and run away from these guys, but to her unfortunate circumstance, the three guys manage to overcome her. This is where they decide, you know what, we're just gonna take her life. At this point, it's 1 a.m. and she is screaming and crying, and regardless of her desperate pleas, they start wrapping packing tape around her head and then smothering it deeper into her face so that she can suffocate. When they saw that she was still alive, they then bludgeoned her 30 times and then choked her with a rope. After killing her, the men then just dump her body into a river at 4 a.m. and then use the card and the PIN number that they extracted from her to go to the closest ATM at the convenience store to pull out 62,000 yen, which is just under $400. That's it. Like, look, I don't agree with ever robbing anyone, but if I was even a remotely sick person and I had to be part of this, was just not getting the money from her enough? Did you really have to do everything else? Like, now it's three of them. You have like $400. 400 divided by 3, $133 per person. Like, I feel like you would have been better off even just begging for that money on the streets. Here's what's really crazy. The same day, our guy Kenji here telephones the police to confess his crime. Now, they question him why he would even go up and confess this kind of crime to them, and he said that the reason he surrendered to the police was that he explained that he was scared of receiving capital punishment. I mean, the crime has already been done, so just confessing it's not enough. I don't know what you're expecting. Okay, it says here that there is a Japanese penal code where essentially if you confess your crimes, then you might receive some wiggle room with your punishment, but I mean, in their case, I wouldn't count on it, dude. Like, it's done. The worst has already happened. Now, after the police find the victim's body abandoned as he described, the police then arrested Kenji and his crime partners. They then called the mother, which I know I don't have any kids, but I'm just imagining my own mom, how she would feel that I didn't show up back at home and then to get the worst possible news. Like, that is news that no parent should ever be given, that their kid has been brutally murdered for absolutely no reason. Not only that, they had to take the mother to the site to identify the body, which I can't imagine the trauma that ensues on a parent. Okay, so it says here that the three were charged with murder for robbery, kidnapping, and confinement and abandonment of a corpse. Now later on, the mother actually launches a campaign for the death sentence to be given to these three men in 2007. Within 10 days, her petition had reached over 100,000 signatures, and within a year she managed to get 318,000 signatures on her petition. I don't understand why you need 300,000 people, even more than that, to convince the court that they need to give the death sentence. Who in their right mind is going to say, yo, you know what, let them off the hook, they didn't know what they were doing, they just needed some money. What's also very interesting about this is that two of the men that were involved in that, their fathers were part of the people that were asking for them to be given the death sentence. So even the parents know that this is all messed up. Like, if the dads wanting to condemn their own sons for the death penalty doesn't already tell you enough, if the case itself didn't do that already, then I don't know what will. Here's what's really messed up. 2 out of 3 of the guys get online, okay, and start making blogs saying that their victim, Rie Isogai, was the one at fault. They started calling her a liar. They were saying that she was just unlucky. And it's like, what? You were the one that committed. She's the one in the grave, not you. You had no ties with her whatsoever before this crime. There is literally nothing on this earth, in this universe, that could possibly make you the innocent one. The fact that your own fathers even want you dead is telling. Okay, so let's just go back to this. So the judgment says that on March 18th, 2009, the district court found the defendants guilty of all the charges, sentenced Kanda and 𝙆𝙖𝙥𝙧 to death. She said that the motives for their crime left absolutely no room for leniency, and that capital punishment was the only option. Kenji Kawagishi received a life sentence because the court judged that he had provided the police with useful information that led to the arrest of Kanda and 𝙆𝙖𝙧. And then it says here that the victim's mother and victim's boyfriend expressed their disappointment at the judgment, which spared Kawagishi's life. Yeah, I would be pretty pissed too, because it's like, okay, yeah, he admitted to it, but he's also the one that tried to do that to Rie Isogai. Like, are we just gonna throw that out the window? It just sucks that this guy gets to live while Rie Isogai doesn't. Oh, not only that, it looks like that actually one of the other guys, 𝙆𝙧, managed to go from death sentence to just life sentence. So now that's 2 guys that get to live. Man, that is so fucking sad. Also, I forgot to mention that during the trial, as the judge and the attorneys were trying to figure out who was head of the entire thing, the guys were actually trying to point fingers at each other. So it's like they were just pieces of shit from beginning to end. Like, in the beginning, they just wanted money, and at the end, all they can say is, well, I'm glad I didn't get the death sentence. It's like, they're so detached. As far as the mother goes, it turns out that she actually did publish a book with the NHK about the life of her daughter.
ただ娘に会いたいなって会えるものならって本当に日頃の思い出の中の娘じゃなくってちゃんと生きてる娘に会って話がしたいってただそれだけですね叶うものなら。15年って言われても私にとっては15年経ったような気がしないんですよね。だから今何を受け止めきれてないっていう。夢だったらいいなって本当に思いますね。
And she's become somewhat of an activist. You know, it's good to see that the mother in some way is using this tragic thing that happened to better help her community and to save another life. So, because honestly, not a lot of people can do that. I feel like a lot of people would definitely just sink, understandably so, but it looks like that the mother didn't allow that to happen. So I really applaud her strength for that.
娘がいないことが一番変わったことだし、気持ちの上ではどうだろう。もう娘に心配させたくないっていう気持ちは大きいですね。だから私自身が元気で笑顔で毎日を過ごしていかなきゃいけないなって。きっとリエもそれを心配してるだろうから、大丈夫よお母さんは元気よっていうことをやっぱりあの子に 知らせてあげたい。で娘は絶対に天国で幸せになってると思ってるし、生まれ変わるとしたらね、絶対世界中の誰よりも一番幸せな人生を全うしてほしいと思うし、